rethinking new forms of volatility. Sorry, I was just like... Let's talk about how to pass the AON video interview. What's up guys, it's Mike with Job in English, here to help you pass another interview. Don't forget, if you like the channel, make sure to subscribe to us, hit that like button, and drop us a comment down below and let us know what video you'd like us to make next. Today we're going to be talking about one of the world's largest insurance companies, AON, and how to pass the interview. Like all our past interviews, we start off with 5 fast facts about the company that you can use in your answer for why do you want to work for AON. I'm going to talk about what the interview process involves, the most common questions that we've come across in our research, and also a couple of other interesting questions and how we would like to think about answering them to give you some tips, hints and tricks to help you pass the AON video interview. And as ever, don't forget, just like all our other Pass the Interview videos, check out the links in the description below for the AON Pass the Interview Prep Pack, which gives you everything you need to know, including this handy research note that we've put together in our research in the past month or so, which will give you the most common questions, the 5 fast facts, plus a couple of other courses, some script templates that you can use, and just everything that you need to make it as easy as possible for you to pass your upcoming AON video interview. So let's get started with 5 fast facts about AON. AON was founded in 1982 in America. They have 4 key areas that they focus on for their clients, which is rethinking new forms of volatility. Sorry, I was just like... which is rethinking new forms of volatility, building a resilient workforce, rethinking access to capital, and addressing the undeserved. I found fact number 3 super interesting. AON has teamed up with ICE, I love that name, to monitor flood hazard data in Japan so that they can help to reduce volatility. This is a good example of an older company using technology to be as up to date as possible when they're doing their insurance premiums. AON has a mentoring and volunteering program which is focused on helping to get young people into work. And finally, AON was recently ranked as 2nd in the 15 largest insurance brokerages in the world. So let's go on and talk about the interview format and what you can expect. Again, all of our information comes from publicly available sources. This is all stuff that if you really wanted to and had the time, you could go and find yourself. So the process, all in all, for AON, the application process takes about 3 months to complete. So you're asked to complete an online test, which is a numerical test. For the interview, which we're really interested in this video today, you're gonna have 5 questions. You're gonna have 2 minutes to record for each question, and you'll then be asked to come to an assessment center, which is around 5 hours long. A lot of candidates reported that it had a case study and also a final interview. So that's what you can expect. Let's look now at the 6 most common questions that were asked that we came across in our research for AON. So first of all, what I want to talk about is how long should my scripts be? How long should I speak for? Well, you're going to be speaking for 2 minutes, about 200 words for your script. Less is good, more probably not. The reason being is if you speak at, I would say, over 120 words per minute, you're going to gasp, you're going to get that dry mouth, you're going to sort of get that weird feeling. You're probably going to start to be falling over your words a little bit, not really know what you're saying, or get to the end of a sentence and go, wait, what was I saying? I do that all the time when I'm recording videos. So about 100 words tends to be good. And I say less because when people are nervous, they tend to say more. They tend to ramble or babble a little bit. So 150 word script should be just fine. Question number 1, why AON? You're always going to get asked why you want to work for the company. And we got you started with those 5 fast facts. Go out and pick, I would say, 6 or 7 key facts about the company. The really important thing is try to pick facts that mean something to you. Now, revenue numbers may not mean something, or how many people work at the company may not mean something, but it could be something about their corporate social responsibility program. Maybe they have a diversity program that you're really interested in, and you can relate this back to yourself. I'm really interested in the fact that AON has a BAME program for Black African and, is that it? BAME? Black African and Middle East? Black Asian. Black Asian. Can you have a Black Asian? Is this racist? Okay, I'm gonna stop. Has a program which is dedicated to men of Southeast Asian descent, well, that's me, who want to succeed in business for example. So I'm relating that back to myself, or that they work with kids and that reminds me of my nephew, and so on and so forth. You get the idea, right? So it's something similar to, it doesn't have to be every single fact, but one or two where you can relate it personally to yourself. It could be that they care about global warming, that they're interested in technology. Why? Because otherwise it just sounds like a shopping list. You're just reading out a list of facts, and it's going to sound pretty boring when you're reading them out. So that's a good thing to think about. Why AON? Question 2, why this role? So you want to split this up into 2 parts. First of all, you want to use the job description or use a great website like prospects.ac.uk and think, what would I be doing as an actuary? What would I be doing as an insurance broker? What would my 9 to 5 day look like when I'm doing this? What are the tasks that I'd have to do? Who are the people that I would talk to? What are the technologies that I'd have to learn? Is there a qualification I'd have to study? Only in the second part of your answer, so that's like first minute. The second minute is really going to be like, why am I the right person for this? And of course, you've just talked about what you're going to do and what skills that you should need. So what should you include in your answer? Well, the skills that you have that are relevant to the job that you're doing. So it could be, well, I'm really good at Excel because I've studied it in my course, I'm highly numerate, I've got really good attention to detail. And you don't need to explain this in great depth. You could just say, I'm good at Excel because I've used it for 3 years in my course. I'm very numerate because I won a silver in the Mathematics Olympiad in Singapore, for example. Just a little bit of, I am this because of this, is always a good way to think about this answer. Question 3, tell us about the time that you worked as a team. Classic competency question, you're going to be getting this all the time. Now, when you're starting to think about what examples that you should use in your competency question, always you want to be picking something out from work. If you can, it doesn't matter what the work is. It doesn't matter whether you're working at Starbucks or you had an internship at UBS, whatever it is, just make sure that you use it, because you're somewhere where you're getting paid to do a job. This is relevant. You have to have an element of professionalism to do that. If you don't have work experience, did you do any volunteering? Are you part of any clubs or societies? Do you have a hobby that you do outside of your work where you're part of a group? For example, I'm part of a martial arts club and I engage with them, right? So I could pick something from there if I didn't have any work experience. If not, use your academics. Use something from university where you've worked in a group context. And when you're thinking about, well, how should I answer this? Well, the majority of your answer needs to be you demonstrating good teamwork. So it'd be communicating, helping others, resolving conflict, and doing more than your part, actively listening to others, empathizing, whatever it is. This is so easy to figure out. Once you know what the question is asking you, you can literally type into Google, what are good teamwork skills, right? If you're not sure about how to answer motivational competency style questions and you need a walkthrough guide, then check out the Interview Success Secrets kit, which is in the link in the description below, which is like a massive resource, tons of videos, cheat sheets, worksheets, walkthrough guides to how to answer any question that you can think of apart from technical questions. Question number 4, what are your strengths and weaknesses? This is a big question to answer in 2 minutes, so I'd suggest pick one strength, pick one weakness. What strength should I pick, Mike? Well, pick a strength that's relevant to the job and also that's relevant to you. So you might say, well, I'm really numerate because in my dissertation I did some complicated number stuff, for example, right? And then you would just prove why you're numerate or prove why you're really good with data by explaining the situation that you found yourself in. You're like, wow, that guy's really good with data because he dealt with a spreadsheet which has 1 million rows. Can a spreadsheet have 1 million rows? I don't know. You get the idea. When dealing with the biggest weakness, you're like, whoa, I can't pick anything that makes me look too bad. Be honest. What's my biggest weakness? I'm disorganized. If I'm being really honest with you guys, don't tell anyone, but I tend to find, because I'm so busy, I find myself feeling disorganized. I always have to write stuff down. I have to plan things. I have to be more organized with the team that works with me. And I find that I can kind of get a little bit lost sometimes, and there's a park near to me and I go and have a little walk and I'm like, what do I actually need to do that's super important right now? So if it's disorganized, and I was talking about it, say, well, one of my biggest weaknesses is being disorganized, because the other week I missed a deadline for a client. I didn't. But as an example, I missed a deadline for a client and I felt terrible. You know, I covered for it and I said that I'd been away sick, but actually it was because of my lack of organization. but I put something into place. So I made sure that we had a whiteboard up on the wall. I made sure that I wrote out all the tasks that I needed to do, how much time I needed to do them, and so on and so forth. So I put something into place. So the weakness becomes a lesson, becomes something that we've learned, like, oh, my bad. And then you learn something from it. So it doesn't have to make you look bad. Of course, don't pick a weakness like I'm a homicidal maniac and I drink too much and I'm a little bit gropey with the women. That's not really gonna fly, but you know that's common sense. But don't pick a really like lame weakness like I work too hard, I don't say no. Like, also, it's something that a lot of other people are going to be saying. If it's honest and genuine for you, it's always going to appear more compelling in the video as well. Question number 5, tell me about a time when you failed to meet a deadline. Now, these are relatively rare. These are what we call negative competency questions. So it's like, give me a time when you didn't do so good and then what happened. So most of us have missed deadlines. I've missed deadlines before. So again, this is something where you're not concentrating on the fact that you missed a deadline, it's what you learned from it. So I missed a deadline, but I communicated with the client and I let them know that I was going to be a little bit late. I explained to them why, and I made sure that the communication was really clear throughout the process. Or I missed a deadline because I was sick, but I passed on the work to a colleague. Or I missed the deadline for handing in a piece of coursework, but I spoke to my professor. A lot of times, particularly with negative value type questions, it's really about communication, self-assessment and growth. So say for example, I'm running late to see somebody, what can I do? Well, I can't change the fact that I'm late because maybe I'm stuck in traffic. What I can do is text my friend and say, hey Steve, we're running a little late, so sorry about that. I'm gonna be there at 2:15, maybe go and grab a coffee and I'll meet you in the coffee shop wherever you are. You know, the worst thing that I can do is just kind of turn up. Steve's like, what the hey? I've been waiting for you for 15 minutes. I'm like, oh yeah, sorry dude, I was running late. So a lot of times, just like here, be about communicating. Question number 6, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? I love this question. Whenever you get asked this question, whatever the company, the answer is always the same. Right here at company A. I'm going to be doing whatever I would be doing in 5 years. So I'd be managing a team. I would be a fully qualified something or other. I would be working on this project. Whatever it is, it's always here. So just on the flip side, because people go, well, maybe I won't be here. Don't tell them that because then they won't want you to work there. Companies like to hire people to think that they can stay. I want to hire people who I think will stay. They may not stay. The reality is it's quite unlikely you're going to hire someone they're going to stay with you for the rest of their life. But you live in hope and you want somebody who's going to do that as well. I know for me, if I interview someone and they say, well, you know, I'm probably going to be doing something else in 3 months, I can be like, yeah, I'm going to pass because it seems like I'm going to have to invest a lot of time and, less importantly, money in you, but you're not going to stay. So what's the upside for me? So even if you're planning to leave the country, work somewhere else, start a business, become a juggler, it doesn't matter, just don't. So I've got 6 other questions that came up, which we just thought, oh, that's quite interesting. Let's throw that in there and see what I think of it and see what you think of it as well. Question 1, tell us about what good communication skills you have. I like this question. I haven't really come across it before. So what do we count as good communication skills? Well, for me, there are 3 of them: talking, listening, and writing. So talking, the ability to effectively communicate information, generally complex information in a simple fashion, to be clear and concise, to get to the point. Listening, particularly with clients, so you want to listen and hear what they have to say. There's nothing so annoying, and I am definitely guilty of this myself. I'm consistently aware, and I try to stop myself doing it. Someone will be talking, I'll be like, oh yeah, blah, 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 and then I'll interrupt that person. It's quite rude. Thankfully, most of the time I'm like, I'm really sorry I've interrupted you, please continue. But being able to just sit there and listen and really understand the problem, so important in client-facing work. A lot of people miss opportunities just because they're not really listening. The client is basically going to tell you what they need. They're going to go, oh, we've got this thing that fixes that problem that you just said. And they're like, great, where can I send you money? And you're like, holy cow, that was easy, but it's really not. It comes down to good listening and writing. This is really important. So whether it be emails, reports, case studies, websites, billboards, whatever it is, the ability to study and to write, and again, to be effective. All of this is about knowing your audience. So really good communication skills. What am I thinking about? Who am I communicating with? And what am I communicating about? And what's the end goal that I would like to achieve? Maybe I just want to make you happy, or just get you to smile. Or maybe I really need you to give me money. Or maybe I just want to get you to see things from my point of view. So the end goal is quite important. Question 2, tell us about a time you've had a conflicting view with a teammate. All the time. No, not really, I'm just joking. Very often, you know, in a professional context, we could have conflicting opinions. We might have a different idea about how to apply a creative solution. And when it comes to that, well, what's important? Well, again, I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to understand your point of view. I might even source your information if we're arguing about something which is quantifiable and related to data. But most of all, I'm going to try to be able to hold 2 points of view in my mind. A lot of people, when you talk to them, they can't hold an opposing point of view in their mind. They're kind of like, well, no, you're wrong because blah, blah, blah. Be like, well, why don't you be quick to see where someone is right, or to see something good about their point of view? Very often, if we have a creative discussion within the team, someone might say, well, I don't understand this. Like, this is not, I would do it like this. And I sit there and I look at it and I think, that's better. Like, that's better than I would do it. Or you have a greater understanding of the situation or more experience. And I'm like, we should do that thing that she said, because that thing that I said is not good. Yeah. Also understanding where is that point of view coming from. Someone's more senior than me, more experienced than me, doesn't necessarily mean that they're right, but it does mean that they have more experience and that there's something to learn. Question 3, what was your biggest setback? Now this is an interesting question because you may have something which is deeply personal to you and you think, should I share that? Like maybe you had an episode of mental health, maybe you had a physical illness, maybe you wanted to go to university and you failed the exam and you had to try again. For me personally, I find stories like this very endearing. I find the ability for a person to be emotionally vulnerable, open and honest, and really talk about something that's quite personal to them is mind-blowing, because most people will never do that. I would genuinely say, unless it's uncomfortable to you or you feel like it's a disclosure of more information that may make someone else feel uncomfortable, I would encourage you to be honest and to really kind of reach into yourself and think about the thing which was your biggest setback. I know for me, the thing that was my biggest setback in my early 20s and my late teens was the fact that I had a massive problem with drink and drugs. You know, I became an alcoholic, I became a drug addict, and then I got clean and sober when I was 24 years old. So I don't mind sharing that with you. It's something that I've shared with thousands of people. I don't think it's anything that I've ever shared on this channel. But I find that when I share that with people, they don't recoil in horror. Generally, number one, they're quite surprised. They're like, really? I can't see it, which is a massive compliment. And the second thing is, it actually creates an environment for a really open and honest and quite beautiful conversation, because they're like, wow, you just shared that thing with me. That's pretty deep. Question 4, what makes you suitable for this role? Slight spin on why you. What makes you suitable? So I would basically have a list of skills and then why you're good at it. So, well, I know for this role, I need to be really disciplined, and I'm disciplined because I get up every day at 5 AM and go for a run. I don't, but that would be a cool lie, right? Something like that. Question 5, how have you prevented making a mistake at work? This is quite relevant to insurance companies because they deal with a lot of data, a lot of numbers. Insurance premiums are quite, you know, this is a multi-billion-dollar business. And I think a lot of time, where does prevention come from? Preparation. A lot of times the most successful projects that I've executed on are ones that have taken an inordinate amount of time to plan and prepare. I've done multiple edits. I can definitely think for us, as we're getting ready to release 28 most common interview questions answered book, certainly for me, over the past couple of months, the reason why we're so excited about it is because we put so much time into it. I mean, literally so much time, like you want to jump out of a window and never see the book again time. But I tend to find that's how you know you've done a really good job. So good preparation, remembering your mistakes and setting aside enough time. And finally, question number 6, how would you improve a client relationship? So I'm very used to client work. It's something I do all the time, whether it be with a student, a professional, or another business in another one of my businesses that I run. And I find improving a client relationship is understanding their problems, listening to them, maintaining regular communication, and delivering beyond expectations. So for example, recently we won a pitch for some new business that we're going to be providing some services to, and what they said, which was reported to me by a friend, that it was the most professional pitch that they had ever experienced. So I made sure that when they booked an initial consultation with me and paid me, when I delivered a document to them, because I always want clients to feel wow. Like whenever we do the past the interview videos, I always think I want us to have researched these questions, to know what we're talking about, to be really prepared, because people's time is valuable. Your time as you're watching this video is valuable. So those to me are really key elements of improving client relationship. Guys, I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Good luck with your AON interview. Remember, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, hit like, let us know how we did in the comments down below, and check out one of our products in the Job Ready English courses website, particularly the interview success secret system. It's really definitely worth the money. You can use time and time for an interview. Good luck.